Good afternoon and welcome to the December 17th regular meeting of the Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission. May we have the roll call, please?
Sure. Commissioners Babayan?
Present.
Kalfayan?
Yes.
Michaels?
Present.
Wolfson is absent. President Asatrian?
Present.
The agenda for the December 17, 2018 regular meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside City Hall on or before Friday, December 14, 2018. Item 2, introductions and presentations. At A is recognition of Arlene Vidor, Ute Baum, and Stephen Meek, members of the Adams Hills Neighborhood Association.
Good afternoon, President Asadri, members of Commission. As you know, we are very proud to have a community that is very engaged and very active, especially for our parks. Our neighbors love our parks, and we have some neighbors who take so much pride in our facilities that they volunteer their time and their efforts to make sure it is the best it can be for their area, for their neighborhood. With Adams Hill, the Neighborhood Association, we've had 3 members who have always been in contact with our office, given us recommendations, volunteered their time, served us in times of need. And last year, we came up with a plan to revitalize the planters in that facility. So we had a couple of them approach me. We had a meeting, and after the meeting, Uda Baum agreed, as a landscape architect, agreed to help us redesign based on the original concepts of what the landscape used to be. And we agreed to work together. She redesigns it, we'll meet on site, and our staff will tear out the old landscaping and replant it. As we discussed last month, we were able to complete that project along with their help. And I wanted to ask them today to come here and be recognized with Commission for their passion and efforts for the area, as well as the Adams, especially the Adams mini park that we have in that area. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to President Asadarian. I know she has a certificate of recognition. I want to thank you for all your efforts and your commitment to the park and working with us throughout the process.
So we have certificates for Stephen Meek, Ute Baum, and Arlene Vidor. If I can please have you come up, and be happy to present.
The record will show that Commissioner Wolfson joined the meeting at 2:39 p.m. Yes.
Maybe I can read it off. The Certificate of Appreciation is from the Community Services and Parks Department, recognizing valuable contributions to the re-landscaping of Adams Square Mini Park. We appreciate your passion and dedication to Adams Square Mini Park and your commitment to going above and beyond for the Glendale community. Stefan?
Thank you.
You know who Stephen is, right? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. And then
Would you like to say?
Would you like to say a few words?
I was told I didn't. Hi, everybody. My name is Ute Baum, and I just want to say that even the best landscape architects who designed this park have to realize that after about 12, 14 years of the installation and usage of the park, it gets kind of worn out, tired, and so on. And so we saw that going on in our little park, and it's our little jewel in our neighborhood. And so we decided to do something about it, and like I was telling them, I didn't reinvent the wheel. I kind of took their base plan and refurbished the park. And with the help of Arlene and Stephen and lots of other people, Patty, who's here to give us support, and the city, I might add, and the city, we were willing to install it all ourselves, but with over 500 plants, it was nearly a logistic nightmare to have to do that on our own as a neighborhood. So Coco and the city approved that they would not only buy the plants, but install them, and we helped them a great deal, but it really came out pretty good. Thank you.
Madam President and Commissioners and Coco and Onig and everybody, thank you very much for this recognition. You know, we just love our park, and we love the Parks Department and the Parks Commission and the whole park scene in Glendale. And I have to say, as a longtime resident of the area, that you guys have, I know it hasn't always been you, but the Parks Commission and Department has been with us every step of the way from the very beginning when eminent domain was declared on that property and the decision was made to build a park there and preserve that gas station. And we deeply appreciate the ongoing support that has been in effect here for so many years. So also as a fellow commissioner, as an arts and culture commissioner, you know, arts and the parks go together just like hand in glove, and we're so pleased to be able to partner with you. And you'll be hearing from the commission. We're going to come pay a visit and talk about our work plan, and we look forward to that kind of a partnership, not only in Adams Square, but in other parks as well. So again, thank you all very much for your support.
Hi, I'm Stephen. Thank you very much for the certificate of appreciation. We do appreciate the park. We appreciate what you are doing to help our city and giving up of your time. I also wanted to mention that our local library has been very helpful in this park in doing the crafts tables whenever we do a host or art reception. They were there last night when we had our caroling event. We try to keep that park active, and our Parks Department has been just wonderful in helping us keep that up and keep things going. Whenever something comes up, we can call them and we know it'll be taken care of. So thank you again very much, all of you. Okay?
Thank you again. Next item?
Next item is upcoming council agenda items.
Okay, President Ossouri and members of the commission, actually for the next month, we don't have any items on the agenda, but I would like to invite all the commissioners to the city council in your neighborhood on January 29th. It will be held at Pacific Community Center. City manager's office will be finalizing the agenda within the next couple of weeks. And I know CSP will probably have an update on one of our programs. I don't know which one, but I'm working with Sam's office on finalizing the agenda.
And we had some really good news from last Tuesday's meeting, the approval of the Maple Park.
Yes, thank you. Last Tuesday night, our Shane's Inspiration All-Inclusive Playground, the first all-inclusive playground project, was approved by council. And we're really excited that Maple Park will have an all-inclusive playground. Project completion date hopefully will be mid-May to end May, just in time for the summer season. Thank you.
Next item?
Next is item 4, commission staff comments.
Have any comments?
I just will add, I attended the holiday program at Dugmagian this weekend for a first ever event. The event did fill the reservations, and they had a great event. They had carolers, they had a dance group perform and entertain everyone. So I look forward to seeing it next year.
Any other comments?
President Asatrian, if I may, I'd like to go through the calendar of events for the next month. On December 21st, there's going to be a Homeless Persons Memorial Day at Forest Lawn Memorial Park, Museum Plaza. On December 21st and January 4th and 18th at 5 p.m., we're offering a tea night out at Pacific Community Center. On December 21st and January 18th at 5:30 p.m., we have Friday Night Lights at Verdugo Skate Park. On December 22nd at 4 p.m., we're offering a pajama party in the Paseo. That's at the Artsock Paseo. On January 9th at 10 a.m., we have a mandatory orientation meeting for homeless camp volunteers. Volunteers are still being sought out. On January 12th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., we have an experimental forest workday in the Verdugo Mountains. On January 19th from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., we have a Riverwalk workday. And the January 21st Parks Commission meeting is canceled. A special meeting is to be determined later today at this meeting. The homeless count will take place on January 22nd from 8 p.m. to 12 a.m. and on January 23rd from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. We're offering a Parents' Night Out on January 25th from 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. at Spar Heights Community Center. On January 26th from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., we have a Wilderness Work Day at Dugmagian Wilderness Park. And those are all the events between now and our next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item?
Next item is 5, oral communications. We don't have any cards. Item 6, consent items. At A, approval of the minutes of the commission regular meeting held on November 19, 2018.
I'll move approval of the minutes.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Commissioners Babayan?
Yes.
Kalfayan?
Yes.
Michaels?
Yes.
Wolfson?
Yes.
President Asatrian?
Yes.
Thank you.
Next item?
Next is item 7, action items. At A is a motion directing staff regarding the rescheduling of the January and February 2019 Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission regular meetings.
So we have a suggestion to combine the two meetings, two dates to one. Is that what we're suggesting for next meeting for January and February? Do we have a date for it?
Staff is currently proposing, I'm sorry, let me get to the actual. Thank you. I apologize. President Asatra and members of the commission, at this time, staff is recommending to reschedule the January 2019 meeting from January 21st to January 28th from 2:30 to 4:30, and the February meeting to February 25th from 2:30 to 4:30 p.m. We could entertain other options if that is the will of the commission, and that would have to be by a vote of the majority.
My suggestion will be to combine both months into one, to go in the middle, and so we can cover January and February. If still, that's fine.
Well, are there planned action items for those meetings?
President Asadari and members of the commission, as of now, no, there aren't any planned action items. But if there are, we can move the action items into one meeting.
If I may, it would be helpful if you would choose, if you were to combine it, if you would choose one of these dates, as I wouldn't be able to confirm that any other date is available, like for GTV6 to be available and for this room to be available.
Does each person want to take a turn saying if they want to combine or they want to have both meetings?
I'm comfortable with the two dates of the 28th and 25th as proposed. If there are no action items or there isn't a full agenda, we can go ahead and cancel that meeting, but I'm comfortable with proposing these dates as the next meeting dates that matches the GTV6 schedule and the schedule of this room.
Yeah, I'm also comfortable with, starting with the January date that's already listed here, and then if we need to cancel the February meeting, we could do that. Additionally, I just want to put it out there again that we don't get a lot of public participation because of the time of day when we meet, and I'm continuing to hope that perhaps we can make our meeting later so that more people from the public can come and share their thoughts and if they have concerns, but a lot of people work during the day and they can't come at this hour. I know that's not really, that's somewhat tangential to this, but I thought I would mention it.
Yeah, the January 28th date, I think, works. I'm comfortable with that as well. So maybe address that and then cancel if need be, or combine onto that date.
Okay, so can we have a motion to approve the January 28th meeting date?
I'll move it 28th.
A second.
Just to be clear, are you moving to cancel the February meeting, or do you want?
No, well, why don't we approve both, and then if we need to, we can cancel the February one.
We'll cancel the February.
So your motion is to cancel the February meeting, okay. And you second that one, okay. Babayan and Babayan. Okay, I'll take a vote. Commissioners Babayan,
Yes.
Kalfayan,
Yes.
Michaels,
Yes.
Wolfson?
Yes.
President Satrian?
Yes.
Thank you. Item 7B, Verdugo Skate Park Annual Evaluation and Proposed Changes to Entrance Fees. At 1 is resolution eliminating existing entrance fees and creating new entrance fees for non-resident adults to the Verdugo Skate Park.
Good afternoon, President Asatri and members of the Commission. I'm Gabrielle Golia, and I am a Senior Supervisor with the Department with the Recreation Section. I'm here today to, I was coming originally today to give you an annual report on the Verdugo Skate Park operations. Last year when we came to you, we had noted that there was a pretty significant drop in participation on an annual basis, and we did promise to reevaluate the program and come back to you this year if we continue to see that trend. So as part of this report, we have added a resolution because that we are requesting requesting consideration of from the Commission because the trend with dropping participation has continued, and it is very significant. So I'll start off by giving you a brief overview of our park, and then we can talk about the participation statistics and the resolution. So our Verdugo Skate Park celebrated its 14th anniversary this year. It opened on April 17th in 2004. It's a 15,000 square foot park, and we have multiple features within the park, and it's a destination location in Southern California. Some of our features are a 6 to 10 foot kidney bowl with a death box. I'm not sure what that is exactly because I don't skate, but it sounds terrifying. And we have, the pool has tile and coping, which is really sought out in this area because it kind of mimics the 80s pool skating that people were doing when it was really starting to grow as a trend. So it is a standard almost backyard pool style with the coping and the pool tile. We have a clover bowl with an 11-foot oververt extension, a snake run with love seats, and a 9-foot oververt pocket. And we also have a street course in the skate park. We offer group and private instructional lessons. We have a Friday Night Lights program that you may have seen in our calendar just a few minutes ago. We have a summer skate camp where we travel to other skate parks and field trips and also stay on site. And we do offer it for film permits. We rent it out for film permits. Our skate classes are for both beginning and intermediate students. We offer them on Saturday and Sunday mornings. We also offer a drop-by skating program on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday afternoons, so people don't have to pre-register. They can just come by if they're at the skate park and they want to take a quick lesson. They can take a $20 lesson. We take up to 5 students in it. Generally, we have 1 or 2, so it's a semi-private lesson for $20, and that's pretty popular. We have our Friday Night Lights program. This is offered the 3rd Friday of every month. Youth are invited to watch skateboard videos and come and socialize. It's a supervised activity for kids in the skating community. And we usually get pizza donated, and we offer it for free to the kids, as well as playing video games. Whatever's new and hot right now, we'll play on a big screen at the skate park. And then every year on June 21st is International Go Skateboarding Day. So we try to have a little celebration at the park every year, and this year we will be doing it again. We get prizes donated from local companies for that. Some additional programs are the skate camps. This is our, our 3rd year offering 2 different camps, 2 different levels of camps. We have a beginning camp and an intermediate skate camp. The beginning camp has lessons on site, and then they go on a field trip and they go swimming each year. The intermediate camp, which is our Shredders Camp, travels to 4 different local skate parks around the area, and they also go on the weekly excursion and go swimming. This year, we generated $25,625 in revenue. That's an increase of 7% over camps from last reporting period. So now we get to our daily participation where we've actually seen the drops. And those other programs we're holding steady and actually growing with the camp, but daily participation is where we're feeling that we are missing out on serving the public. The park is open from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Friday, and 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. During the Glendale Unified School District summer break, we actually expand to 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily. This past year, our average daily attendance was 8. We had 3,079 entrances into the park and only 1,135 people, unique individuals that entered, which is pretty low. We generated $9,052 in entrance fees. That includes our annual sales and our daily fees. This is a breakdown of where the sales and where the entrances came from, so that you can see how many sales, annual passes we sold versus daily residents entered. And at the bottom, you can see our participation statistics. So back in 2011 and 12, we had over 13,000 entries into the park, and this year we're down to 3,000. So over that time span, we have lost essentially 10,000 entries into the park per year, which is very significant. And that coincides directly with when we started charging entrance fees. So in 2012, we started charging an entrance fee to everyone to come in. Prior to that, we had charged only non-resident adults to enter the park. So part of our resolution today is to take a step back to what we were doing in 2012 and remove the fees for anyone that is not a non-resident adult. In other words, non-resident adults will still pay the entrance fee. All youth, whether they live in Glendale or not, will be free, and resident adults will be free. So this is a chart of the actual fees that I just went over. We are looking to eliminate, because of the wording of all of the fees, we're looking to basically eliminate all of our existing fees and then just create the adult non-resident daily entry, monthly pass, and annual pass fees. Those are the same amounts that we're currently charging to all adults. We're not looking to raise that fee at all. We just want to make it a non-resident fee only. So we are looking to charge non-residents $4 per day to enter. Non-resident monthly passes are available for $40, and non-resident annual passes are available for $75. The department has allocated a little over $120,000 for the operation of the Verdugo Skate Park. With only 1,135 unduplicated participants, that comes to about $105 a person per year to operate it, which is very costly. So we estimate that of the $9,052 that we generate, about $7,000 of this is fees that residents are paying. So we will see a potential loss of about $7,000 in our revenue, but we think that's a pretty small price to pay to bring in, hopefully, 10,000 participants a year. We are hoping that participation will increase back to those 2012 levels. We will evaluate the program again in the next year to see if participation is going up again. If participation is still low, then we will consider other options, including reconsidering the budget allocation for this program. Here's a look at the overall revenue sources for the program. So you can see that entrance fees were the $9,052. We also brought in almost $7,000 in films. Contract classes is our beginning and intermediate classes on the weekends. Rentals are private parties. And then camps is our largest source of revenue for this program. We do operate at a deficit in this program. This program is partially funded in the general fund and partially funded in the special revenue fund. This year we did operate at a loss of $38,673 in the special revenue fund. We go into it every year knowing that it will probably operate at a loss, and the operation is supported by programs in the special revenue fund that do bring in a profit. So the department realizes that although it's operating at a loss, it's a valuable component to the park and to the department, and we have chosen up until now to support the operation out of profitable programs. Our community outreach for the program is through our department newsletter, the city's webpage, and the quarterly leisure guide. What's not listed here is advertisements that also take place not through city resources. There are a number of very popular websites for skaters, and they visit these and they rate the skate parks and they follow along with these. One of them that we work with is Concrete Disciples, and they are a very popular website. So we are listed in there. We do stay on top of it and check the rating with it and make sure that the information that's being broadcast in that website is correct. If this is passed with the new fees, we will reach out to them immediately so that they can update their website that our park is free for residents and non-resident youth. So our recommendation is that the Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission approve eliminating existing entrance fees to the Verdugo Skate Park and establishing new entrance fees to the Verdugo Skate Park for non-resident adults, and recommend that the Glendale City Council incorporate into the comprehensive citywide fee schedule the changes made to the Community Services and Parks Department wide fee schedule effective February 1st. Can I answer any questions about this?
I have a question.
Sure.
How much do you think that the drop-off in attendance might be a consequence of whether skating is losing popularity a little bit or something like that? Do we have any feeling for how popular this is in other venues?
Yes, President Asatri and members of the commission. We have spoken with staff, we have spoken with the residents and the participants to find out what the general trend is. We're actually seeing that there is a trend of increasing interest in skate parks. However, there are more skate parks for them to skate at. Just in the past couple of years, 2 new skate parks have been built in our immediate neighboring districts. There is the County Park, which is in Crescenta Valley County Park, over just less than 5 miles from the Verdugo Skate Park. It's free, and so people, if given the choice, if I have some money in my pocket and I really want the Verdugo Skate Park, maybe they'll go there, but if they don't have the money and they want to go and just skate for free, we think they're choosing the County Park instead. There's also a new park in La Cañada that has popped up recently. So we don't think it's necessarily a drop in interest and more availability of other free parks in the area for them to go to.
So follow-up question then.
Sure.
Do you think our park is superior to or inferior to the county park, for example? I mean, is there anything about that?
Absolutely. We feel that ours is superior. There are very good reasons why. Our park is staffed, which provides a level of safety and security for both parents and adults that are skating at the park. We do enforce the helmet and pads rules, meaning that all participants need to wear a helmet and elbow and knee pads. While some adults don't love this because they don't want to be confined by the pads, it really is an enhanced safety feature that keeps everybody safer. But in addition to that, our staff also monitor for behavior around the park. So I have heard complaints of nefarious behavior near the skate parks that are unstaffed. And at our park, we don't have those issues. We are able to curb it immediately. And then the final reason that I think ours is superior is that we have lights. The skate parks nearest to us aren't lit. So at dark, everybody goes home. Whereas at ours, we can stay open and do stay open until 10 o'clock. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Can you go back on the 2012 drop till today, the figures?
This one?
Yeah.
Yes.
So from 13,000, we went down to 6, and then continued going down. And we didn't realize that we're going down that fast.
President Asatri and members of the commission, we definitely did realize that participation was dropping. We knew it was going down, and we were monitoring it. We kept trying to, we were hoping that participation would level out and may start coming back up with the entrance fees, but in the meantime, somewhere around 2015-16, the county park was opened, and that definitely created an additional impact on our participation figures since it's free and just around the corner.
If we take the fees out, do we have means to bring more people? Because this community probably needs this. It's a beautiful place and it's such a nice area. I think we should have the means and skills to bring them back.
We absolutely do. We actually still have many of the same staffing that we had back in 2012. Some of the same people are still with us today. And we haven't dropped our staffing levels. So our expenditures shouldn't increase in order to be able to accommodate the number of people getting back up to that 13,000 really hopeful figure. We're very hopeful that that will bring people back, is eliminating these fees. And we're also hopeful that when they come back, some of our other programs will start to increase as well. People being there and seeing these drop-by lessons may decide, oh, I want one too. And so we're hoping that we'll have increased participation in some of the other programs that are paid programs. And we're not looking to change any of those fees. We just want to bring people in, and word of mouth and seeing it, we're hoping will encourage them to participate.
We have insurance for incidents. Do we carry insurance?
Yeah. President Satri and members of the commission, we do. The city is self-insured. However, we also have every single person who enters the park sign a release of liability form. If the participant is a minor, then the parents also have to sign the release form. And this is a form that was created by our legal department in order to reduce the liability of the city for any accidents that could occur during normal activities in a skate park.
If we waive the fees for the local, and how much we have to leave, if we leave $4 for the outside visitors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would that attract more people?
We absolutely believe that reducing the fees or eliminating the fees to non-resident youth and all residents will attract more people back to our park.
And the $4 is a fair price to leave it?
Yes, we feel that it is. We did a survey of some surrounding cities. I have a chart here that we can look at. Many are free. So many of the cities are free. Many of them have actually cut staffing to their parks in the past couple of years. But Burbank and Santa Monica are in the non-resident for adults, $5 to $5.50 per day entry. So at $4, we are still competitive with the cities that do charge a fee and staff the parks.
What's the percentage of the visitors? What percentages? Or how many was the visitors?
Total unique visitors was 1,135. And I am looking up here the information for you. Our adult non-residents were approximately 295 of those 1,135. So it's not a giant part or percentage of our daily participants or our overall unduplicated participants. We anticipate that it will probably bring in about $2,000 a year in entrance fees. It's not a large sum of money, but we think it's worth it to get the residents back into the park.
What's defined as resident, non-resident? Because I think we had this issue, or I've had a particular issue when it came to the discount policy, and we're defining resident, non-resident. People that are actually paying into our tax system here and are actual Glendale residents, or is it surrounding cities as well?
We have defined it as the same way that the day camp program has, which is residents are people who live within the Glendale Unified School District boundaries. So there is a portion of the county and a very small sliver of La Cañada that's included in it.
Do you know how many of the participants are from that area?
Unfortunately, I don't have that specific number in front of me. I'm sorry. We can certainly bring it back to you if you'd like us to. But just looking at our non-resident versus residents, non-residents are higher than our resident numbers right now. We think that that scale will tip when residents are free for both adults and youth. We think that more local Glendale youth will start coming back to the park. But as of right now, it is more non-residents than residents participating in the program.
Okay. And then on page 2, not just for this rate, it says like 72% of the participants preferred paying an entrance fee.
Yes.
What's the total number of that? Are we talking about the 1,000 some folks? Because it doesn't say all participants, it says of the...
That was President Asatria and members of the commission. That was a survey that was done back in 2014, and I don't know the actual figure on how many were collected at that point in time. This is referring to a survey that we did in order to create the entrance fees. We had asked all entrance participants at the program for a month. We made sure every single person who came into the park for an entire month had filled out a survey. And we asked them, the survey options at that point in time were to close the park on weekdays and open on weekends and summer break only. We offered to keep the park open on weekdays but unstaffed, and staffing the park only on weekends and during the summers. A third option on that survey was keeping the park open weekdays with volunteers only and staffing the park on weekends and summer. And then the fourth was to pay a daily entrance fee and keep our staffing levels the same. So the 72% was referring to the number of people responding to that survey at the time, and I don't have the figure of how many were surveyed. I apologize, but it was, our annual numbers back then were approximately 13,000. So I would assume that it was approximately 1,000 people if we were looking at 1 month of attendance.
President Asatrian, I think that was done around the time when the city was considering further budget cuts, and one of the means was to either cut the program and cut staffing. So the department went out and did surveys to see what would the community, would they rather pay an increased fee but have the park open, or would they rather see the park close? And this was when the city was going through budget cuts. So that was kind of when the survey was done in anticipation of the department trying to figure out whether we should close the door to the park to save some funds, or to not staff it, just leave it open but not staff it, or charge fees but leave it staffed. And so that was kind of the result of that survey. So just as a way of background.
I was just interested in knowing the total numbers, and I didn't know when it said 72%.
No, definitely. I mean, that's a good question, but I just wanted to provide some background as to why the survey was done in 2014.
And then the nitty-gritty of all participants versus the participants.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
One other quick question. If we do make this change, when might we revisit and evaluate the effectiveness of it?
So the fees would go into effect February 1st of 2019. We would like to bring the numbers back to you next year at this point in time. This is when we typically do our annual evaluation on the program. That would give us a full year's worth of data to be able to report back to you, which would include our big summer period, which is the really important time for this program as far as getting a large number of people in. So we would go a year and then report back to you.
Thank you.
The staffing and lights are an advantage for this park. Functionally, when participants come, do they fill out a registration or a waiver each time they arrive?
The waivers we require on an annual basis. We do register everybody into our system so that we can track that we have a waiver on them, which is how we know exactly what our unduplicated participant number is. And it is good for a calendar year. So our 2019 releases will start on January 1st, and we will require everyone, whether they signed a release on December 31st or not, we will still require a new release for the 2019 calendar year at that time.
Okay, so there is a process where everyone comes in, they are registered.
Yes.
As a alternative, have you considered charging an annual fee for everyone rather than waiving the fees, so that way you're essentially charging a registration fee to complete that form for that staff time, and it becomes an annual pass, where if we reduce the cost of the annual pass significantly, that may be a spur for participation of, I've registered for the year, I'm good for the year, it may encourage me to come back.
That's absolutely an option. We hadn't discussed it as part of this process. We certainly can, if the commission wishes us to do so, we certainly can discuss that as an option. We do offer an annual pass for participants right now. The annual fee for a youth participant is $50. Our standard passes in our department are $25 for adults. I believe most facilities are free for the annual passes for youth. So if we were to match up with our other facilities and other community centers, youth would still be a free pass annually, and adults would drop down to $25 from $75. So it's certainly an option. I don't know that it would necessarily generate any additional revenue over a daily drop-in fee for non-resident adults. But if the commission so wishes, we can certainly evaluate that.
My consideration was if we took the cost of an annual fee down to something like $5 or $10, where it would be very close to the daily fee, that may cover the additional staff time to do the registration and still provide some funding, but that smaller amount I don't think would be a large impediment to participation.
Absolutely. It's certainly an option. We can, Teresa may have some thoughts.
No. President Asatrian, Commissioner Michaels, I think staff's recommendation at this time is to remove basically all resident and youth fees, but of course we're taking direction from commission. So if the majority of the commission would like to see us charge a minimal fee, so instead of removing or reducing the fees to zero for residents and non-resident youth, if you'd like to see us charge maybe $5 for all residents, youth and adults, so we're happy to consider that. This was staff's way of trying to increase participation at the park and try to basically get the value for the funds that we're spending to operate the park, because we're seeing that, you know, we're spending over close to $130,000 on operating the skate park, yet we've got basically 1,100 unduplicated people, meaning individuals. So that those 1,100 might come multiple times, which gives us the 3,000, but it's really of 200,000 in Glendale, we're only serving 1,000 people with $130,000. And so this was staff's way of looking at it and saying it's a small amount of revenue to give up to bring in additional users, and if we see that the use isn't there and maybe the skate park isn't as popular and Glendale residents aren't looking to be skating, then maybe we consider other options, which is why we're recommending to revisit in a year and come back with other options. So if we see within the year of removing these fees, the numbers are still the same, then we come back to commission and we have a discussion of, do we even consider funding it at that same level? Do we now maybe consider closing it certain hours, or do we consider not staffing it? So these are sort of the analysis that we'd like to start doing with staff as we see the numbers go down, because personally, you know, I think it's not smart use of $130,000 to serve 1,100 people in Glendale. So that was sort of our thought process, to try to remove the fees, because the impact isn't minimal. I mean, is minimal. If the impact was 20, 30, 40,000, I don't think I'd be sitting here recommending that. But the impact seems to be close to $7,000 with just the resident portion, because we'd still be charging the non-resident adults. And so the other option is we could consider still charging the resident adults as well and just remove the youth fee and open it up for free for youth and see how that turns out. So staff's recommendation is as proposed in the report, which is to reduce the non-resident adults and the resident, to remove the fees for resident adults and youth and non-resident youth, and only charge non-resident adults. But we're happy to do whatever else commission might recommend at this time.
I'm evaluating the survey results where a vast majority said they would rather pay a fee for keeping the staff, keeping the lights, keeping those advantages, and looking to look at that, keep the fee, but reduce the fee down to what would be a daily entrance fee for the year, and have a fee charged for resident youth, non-resident youth at $5. That $5, I don't believe, would be a significant barrier to the cost of the program, and would be a measure to buy in and have them remember, I've registered for this year, I now have multiple choices of which parks to go to. I've paid the membership or the registration for this park. It may encourage me to go to this park over other options and take advantage of the staff and the lights. If we eliminate the fee, it then may be very difficult to then put the fee back in place. So moving it down to a very nominal fee, I'm not suggesting that that's going to be a large source of revenue, but going from the change when there wasn't a fee being charged to a fee being charged, there was a significant impact on attendance. I don't want to see that type of transition set up in the future if we get to a point in the future where staffing costs continue to increase and a fee is needed versus closing the park. I'm just concerned of dropping the fees to nothing and then the potential of implementing fees again in the future.
President Michaels, that's a great point, and we're happy to consider that if the majority of the commission would like us to keep a fee, a nominal fee, and whatever we feel that fee might be appropriate. So staff's happy to consider that, even though it's not eliminating all the fees. It would be minimal, and we can evaluate it for another year and see how that turns out. So this time we'll take direction from commission.
Are there any other comments?
It seems to me like we have a challenge to bring in that number of that we have lost in order to be able to serve this community. We have to eliminate the fees as much as possible, because we're not here to make money, we're here to serve the community. It's not a profit or loss case. So I would suggest that for a year, we eliminate all the fees if we can, and reevaluate it after a year, because we have the challenge of closing or not closing the program also. So those are the challenges that we have to face and improve it.
Well, I mean, you have the statistics on what the numbers look like when we weren't charging, and I'm personally very comfortable with removing the fees. I agree with Commissioner Kafayan on that. And if there are no other questions, I'd just like to move the item or make a motion to move the item as is.
I second it.
I'm sorry, who made the motion? Oh, I'm sorry, President Asatrin, if I could recommend that a different commission member of the commission
Okay,
make.
sorry.
Yes.
Is there anybody else that?
I will move that we adopt the staff recommendation for the skate park.
A second.
Thank you. I'll take roll call. Commissioners Babayan,
Yes.
Kafayan,
Yes.
Michaels,
Yes.
Wolfson,
Yes.
President Asatrin.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Next on the agenda is 8, reports information only at AA section activity reports at 1 Park Services.
Good afternoon again, President Asadria, members of commission. We will be reporting on activities in the month of November. We had 91 work orders completed, of which 67 were completed by groundskeepers, no pest application, and then 24 irrigation repair work orders for a total of 625, roughly, labor hours. For this month, we'd like to highlight a couple of, here we go. A couple of projects. Glendale Narrows Riverwalk. This was in preparation for the winter season. As we get rain, we have several facilities where we have to put hay bales to make sure that the rain, the water doesn't have the DG runoff onto the streets. And we had a slight chance of rain at this facility. We had some rain and a big one come in, as a matter of fact. And we had to go in and do some trenching and lay out the hay bales all around the walkways to avoid the DG runoff. As you can see, it had already run off a little from the rain before. And the perimeter of the walkway on both sides, as well as we do the same thing on the outside of the pedestrian gate by the horse corrals. This is where the neighbors next door come into the facility. This gate is open to the residents during the park hours. And as you can see, there is a drain right there on the I guess the north side of the sandbags. That's an area where water does accumulate and it will run right into the facility, so we try to control it as best as we can. That portion is the neighboring property. We have an easement there, so there's not much we can do to change the grade because it's not our property, but we do our best with either hay bales on one side and sandbags on this other end in the property to try and control some of the water runoff. Adams Mini Park, we congratulated the individuals that helped us out. We thanked them earlier. This was the project that they participated in. As if you had been to Adams Mini Park, the shrubs had grown quite a bit. It had become fairly woody and made it very difficult to distinguish what was what. It was overplanted to begin with, and as the plants started growing in, it made it just such a mess. So our first task, after Ms. Uda Baum helped us to redesign the landscape, was to clear all the existing shrubs, the planters, where you could start finding the posts that used to be within. So we determined the design to be the post and the cables that distinguish one side of the park and then the perimeter and the outside. This was done throughout the entire park, including the corners, where everything was cleared out. The landscape, the irrigation was readjusted. We had to remove significant number of sprinkler heads because when the shrubs were first planted, there were more per shrub planted. Now we reduced it to only minimums necessary to control the irrigation in the area. Once everything was cleared out and the irrigation was corrected, repaired, we began the planting throughout the perimeter of the park, as well as the entrances. This is what it looks like now, and the entrance off of Adams and Tyler, Adams, and Palmer in the corner intersections. There's some more work that was done after the fact. We completed some tree work in the area, and in the next coming months, we'll be looking at the surfacing of the playground as well that needs to be replaced. This is a final shot into the park coming in. Perkins Waterfall Landscape, which was right outside at City Hall. As you know, we talked about redesigning that the waterfall. Waterfall's been turned off. It is going to be a landscaped, beautified area. This is the upper floors. We had to begin with bringing in the soil, putting in the irrigation, testing and running the irrigation, make sure there is ample coverage. And yes, staff tends to at times walk around, make sure there's coverage in smaller areas, so when we plant something, it will take. This is a shot from the 4th level looking down on staff, and these are the trees planted in the lower end. There's more landscaping that needs to occur in this little planter. We're waiting for our colleagues in Public Works. We work together in this project, just like in all of the other ones. They'll be putting some uplights in the area, so we have to wait till they're done with their trenching and putting in the lights so we can complete the rest of the landscape in the lower end. And this is the terrace going up to the 4th floor from the steps. There are 3 of the steps already been planted, and then we have 2 additional planter beds on the 4th floor that we will be planting in the next coming months. Okay, here we go. City Hall decorations, the holiday decorations. We talked about it last year. You probably walked by them. Wanted to show you a little bit of what it takes to get this rolling. And yes, those are all wood shavings for the preparation of all the houses and decors. This is the shop down at the yard after Mr. Peplo does the designing at the house, brings it in for the final touches. It gets laid out at the yard, and the final touches start going in, whether it be the painting, laying it out, doing the lights. These are all the designs that are carved and ready to go. The final touches of painting were done with staff at the end of the day. As they come in to wrap up their day, they spend their time kind of very relaxed atmosphere trying to finish off the task. As you noticed, there were several different villages that were constructed, and each one had its own little theme. It was an international theme, so if you look up online, you may see some of these houses actually exist. That's where we picked the houses from. Here's what I found. Siri does like me very much, always responds to my voice. This was the castle, and this was, again, Rapunzel's Tower, which happened to be the final act, I guess, in Chris Peplo's mind as it came through. So on the day after Thanksgiving, our staff, along with a number of staff from Recreation, get together, start doing the final decorations. This is the City Hall lobby tree. This is the tree in Perkins Parcher Plaza. This actually is decorated and done by our colleagues at Public Works. This was the one in MSB building. So every department does put in their little share, their effort of getting the trees decorated within their buildings. And this is the City Hall, the final touches that were done. The City Hall lobby, this was a shot more in the evening. We have some during the day as well. We've had a lot of positive comments from individuals who have visited City Hall. Whatever you see in the background, the trees, the landscape, those are actually real, and we'll be reusing them, another project in the future, back into the parks. The ski lift, it tends to be the most popular. It took quite a bit of work to get it running, and we appreciate staff helping us control, as if one of them does fall off because people touch it or kick it, it's very delicate. So it does take a little bit of a care to keep it going. And this is the shot of the east side of the lobby. And these are the planters on the outside. Like I said, each village was determined. Every tree planter that we have has a different village theme to it. And this one is, as you're walking by Parcher Plaza, this is one of the other villages. Your typical decorations. And every year during this time, we also add a lot of poinsettias to add, the color, traditional holiday poinsettia red color, red tone to City Hall. And this is a picture from right outside of these chambers, looking down. That is the end of this presentation. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, and I look forward to see what our staff will have in mind for next year for the decorations.
Which one was the tree that President Asterian turned on the lights?
Oh, I can go back. That was the tree at the City Hall, the Perkins Plaza tree, the main City Hall. This one right here. This was the main tree. Any other questions I may answer?
I just want to say thank you. I just think those villages are just charming. What's not to love?
Thank you.
Next item.
Next is 8A2, Recreation and Community Services.
President Asatri, members of the commission, I'd like to provide a report for the activities that took place in November. So these are some of the recreation activities that we've had. User error? Did you turn it off? So between October 29th and November 16th, we had our annual Thanksgiving food drive. This is where the City of Glendale employees gather, donate canned good items that the staff in senior services section coordinates. And we pass out reusable tote bags to city staff. And together we, this year, collected enough canned and non-perishable food that we were able to hand out 150 reusable bags to homebound seniors during the Thanksgiving holiday. More seniors during this time of year, of course, more so than any other time of year, are in need. And during the economic downfalls, low-income seniors look to department staff to help distribute food. I'd like to do a special thank you to the Glendale Police Department and the Glendale City Employees Association, GCA, who together raised $748 that they went out and purchased food that we were able to give out to the seniors. We also have our Thanksgiving luncheon for our seniors, and on November 15th, we hosted 2 Thanksgiving luncheons, one at the Adult Recreation Center and one at Spar Heights Community Center. We served about 180 seniors at both sites who enjoyed roast turkey with dressing and gravy, with yams, cranberry sauce, and garden salad, and of course, pumpkin pie, which is their favorite. Volunteers from Dignity Health Glendale Memorial Hospital also attend the event and help serve the meals to our seniors. The 9th annual Glendale Health Festival took place this year at Pacific Community Center, and this year it was a 2-day event. It started on Saturday, November 3rd, and continued on to Sunday, November 4th, and this is hosted by the Armenian American Medical Society in partnership with Remote Area Medical, which is a nonprofit. Our staff at Pacific Community Center work with the Armenian American Medical Society on a committee, work hard to host this event at our center. And basically, the services that they include are free dental fillings, extractions, mammograms, complete free eyeglasses, eye exams. And so they serve about 600, I believe we served about 600 uninsured and underserved individuals. And the care is estimated at approximately $130,000 worth. So a great effort by the Armenian American Medical Society working with RAM and the staff at Pacific. And of course, there's a lot of sponsors and partners in hosting this event. The Youth and Family Services section hosted one workshop, and this time it was making healthy holiday food choices, and Adventist Health Glendale Foundation came in and taught the teens about cooking Asian chicken fajitas on November 2nd, and on the 16th and 30th, we didn't have any workshops, but we did have drop and play, and the teens come in and to Pacific Community Center, and they play PlayStation, they play basketball outside, and so on the 16th and the 30th with the holidays, there were no workshops planned, and of course, turnout isn't as much as the regular, but on the 2nd, they had a workshop on healthy food choices. Staff continues to outreach to the schools. In November, they went out to Crescenta Valley High School and Clark Magnet High School and encouraged them to join us at My Glendale Teens on Instagram so that they can learn more about the activities that take place in the workshop so that they can join us at our Teen Night Out event. The STAR students training as role models had a meet and greet with a Vietnam War veteran where they heard John Bales speak and talk about his experience during the Vietnam War, and they wrote a letter thanking him for his service, so this gives the teens a little bit of history. They also enjoyed Thanksgiving dinner hosted by Honey Baked Ham on November 13th, and they had the opportunity to go to Cal State Long Beach to watch a volleyball game. The Therapeutic Recreation section hosted the Club Maple Thanksgiving dinner on November 15th, and the event took place at Maple Park from 5:30 to 8. We served about 100 participants, and this is a great opportunity for the Club Maple participants to enjoy a meal with their fellow friends. The Trails and Open Space program hosted several events in November. On November 2nd, we had the venomous spiders and other noxious critters. We had Jeff Burkhart, a professor of biology from the University of La Verne, who came in and gave a lecture on arthropods and reptiles, many of which can be noxious or dangerous. And he talked about those that are harmful directly and those that transmit pathogens such as Lyme disease and salmonella, and how to safely deal with them when encountered. There's always a great turnout for these events at Duke-Magian. The next event was on November 3rd, and this was Things That Go Bump in the Night hike. 22 adults and children joined staff on this hike. It was a staff-led hike where the participants learned about adaptations of nocturnal animals. There are different activities where it helped them learn about, the way that animals smell, and we had containers filled with different items like hot chocolate and bubble gum and pine needles, and they were covered with foil, and people were asked to smell and try to identify what was inside. And also we had eggs filled with different items, 2 eggs that were filled with exactly the same item, and kids were asked to shake it and try to find the other person in the room that had the same egg. And basically this is trying to teach kids and adults about how animals hear, smell, and see. And then at the end, of course, everybody enjoyed making their own trail mix and hot chocolate. The next event was on November 17th. We hosted a wilderness work day. There were 35 members of the community who joined us at Duke-Magian Wilderness Park to plant new trees, water old trees, and remove invasive plants from the landscape areas of the park. We planted 38 coast live oaks that day, and we had a group of students from Clark Magnet High School who joined us that day. And of course, we had our holiday tree lighting. This event was actually scheduled for November 30th, but due to rain, it was rescheduled to December 3rd. And our very own president, Asatrin, was the MC for the night. And with the help of the mayor's family, we lit the tree for Glendale, and we had performances by John Muir Elementary School Choir and a dance performance by Revolution Dance Studio. This year also had food trucks along Isabel, and it was a combined event where we had Crama Classic Toy Drive, again on Isabel, where we had the fire department there as well, helping us collect toys to donate to needy families for the children. And also, this year, we had the opportunity to show How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the original classic movie, after the event. And of course, children had the opportunity to visit with Santa and give him their wish list. It was a great event and attended by many, and we hope to do it even bigger and better next year. We also had the Holly Jolly Breakfast with Santa, and this wasn't in November. This was actually this past Saturday, but I kind of wanted to highlight this event now to also invite people to come out to the next event. But this was a combined partnership effort with the Community Development Department, and this is an effort to activate the Artsakh Paseo, and this was held at Artsakh Paseo. And on Saturday the 15th, we hosted breakfast, so we had breakfast goodies, and children and the families were invited. It was a free event to come take pictures with Santa, and again, an opportunity to mingle with the community, and there were activities by the library department and also crafts activities by our own staff. So children had the opportunity to, I believe, make reindeer masks and bookmarks. And this then, I'd like to invite the community to also come back out to Artsakh Paseo on Saturday, December 22nd. I know Iris mentioned it, but again, as a reminder, from 4 to 8 p.m. for a pajama party in the Paseo. So for parents, it's a great opportunity to drop off your child and do last-minute Christmas shopping, and or join your child at the Paseo for a movie and some pizza. So I invite everybody to come out. That concludes the Recreation Monthly Activity Report.
And that concludes all the items on the agenda. Next is adjournment.
Well, before we adjourn, I want to take this opportunity to thank all the staff for all your hard work over the year and the years, and my fellow commissioners. And since this will be our last meeting of the year, I want to wish everybody a very happy holiday season. May you and your families be healthy, happy, and safe during this time, and we'll see you in the new year. Meeting's adjourned at 3:43 p.m.